Hey everybody, gonna be a little bit of a quicker video today. I'm not gonna show the whole process of what I'm doing because I've done this 100 times, but I'm gonna show you something that's a little bit unique to the situation. I'm putting some Metalcloak TJ springs, the dual rate springs, on my overland, and the only thing you really have to do to make them fit properly in the front is to cut the pigtails off of the TJ springs up here at the very top. And a lot of people have a lot of confusion about what that means without seeing it. So I'm going to show you as I put them onto my Jeep, and then I'll show you the finished product once they're actually installed. So the pigtail that you have to cut off of the TJ springs. So this bottom part, you can see here, these diameters are about the same. Let me get a tape measure for you. There you go. That's about a 5-inch outside diameter, and that's about a 5-inch outside diameter. This is tucked in a little bit tighter to this bottom coil. That's not going to matter. Once there's weight on this, that'll squeeze right up. But the top end here, scoot these down, get my tape measure. The top end of the WJ springs terminate in that same 5-inch outside diameter. So you can see right there. And TJ and XJ and ZJ springs have this little small curly Q right here at the top that reduces that down to about a 3 3/4 outside diameter. So all you have to do is you have to just follow the coil, stand it up, just follow the coil until it matches the outside diameter, which is about where this little thing is cut off. See, you can see the bottom coil right here starts to disappear with my finger underneath this top coil. So we're just going to cut that right there off, and then these should fit right in. So I'm going to cut that off of both sides and throw these springs in, and I'll show you the finished product. So there you go. That's all you really got to cut off to make those all kind of uniform down the length of it. You don't have to do anything with the bottom. Just got to cut these off the top. So I'll go get these thrown in on the Jeep and show you how they fit. All right, I got the fronts installed. I am not convinced that it gave me as much extra lift as I thought it was going to, based on what people said on the forums. Supposedly, the Metalcloak TJ springs are supposed to give you 1 inch more lift on the WJ than on the TJ, only because they're dual rate coils. Now, if it was a regular TJ spring, you get 1 inch less lift because the WJ is heavier. I'm feeling like I got exactly as advertised on the TJ lift for these Metalcloak dual rate springs. My WJ was sitting at about a 2.5 inch lift with these old springs that I had in there. Now it looks like it's about 3.5. And that's exactly what these are supposed to lift the TJ. Anyways, just a word to the wise. But I got them in. You can see they sit in there pretty good. And I've got the Rubicon Gladiator Fox shocks to go with them. Get another view in here. They're a little wet from spraying grease on my spring compressors, but let's see if I can lay underneath it. And where's my light? There's the other side. There it is. See if I can lay underneath it for you and show you how much room I have on the Gladiator shocks. See, it's really close to the bump stop, and that's the reason I wanted to go with these with a 4-inch lift, so that I could run these shocks. This looks almost exactly like where it was, if I'm honest, and I feel like these are still going to bottom out when I go over big bumps, but I guess we'll see, huh? Anyways, that's all you got to do to put your dual rate TJ coils on the WJ on the fronts. I'm going to get to the rears here shortly, and I'll show you if there's any quirks with that. Alright, excuse the mess, but this is the difference in the rear springs. Like I said before, I was running about a 2.5-inch lift on the WJ, and I've got 3.5-inch lift TJ Metalcloak Springs. So if we measure here, on the bottoms, I guess the shortest distance we got is 4-ish outside diameter, 4-ish inches. And this one right at the coil, pigtail, is exactly the same. So those should just fit right in. This one opens up slower than this one does, but being that that distance fits around that bump stop holder, that should be fine on this side, because these don't go in a specific orientation rotationally. And then on the top here, we got about 4 inches again, and about 4 inches again. Now the big difference, as you can tell, is these dual rate parts on the coil are way wider on the TJ than on the WJ coils. So if we measure that, we're about 4 3/4. Whereas that's not 4 3/4. That's 6 3/4. And then over here we're right at 6 inches. So it's about an extra 3/4 of an inch. And the perch up here is right about 7 inches. So these are barely going to fit up in here, but they are going to fit, which is what's important. So you can see the length difference right there. Hopefully I won't have to compress the springs as much. The fronts I had to compress just a ton. So I might be able to get this one in on this side without the compressor, simply because there's no spring in the other side. So I could let this droop really far and jack the other side really far up, but I will have to put a compressor on one side. Anyways, we'll see. I'll let you know once it's installed. All right, rears are in. Let me lay underneath. There we go. Got the dual rates in, just like I said. No modifications needed. Don't worry about my sway bar lengths. I'm getting rid of my sway bar. Just didn't have the patience to get those top bolts out yet, but there you can see they're in there, no problems. Had to use the spring compressor, but whatever. This shock has a lot more travel than the other one. The bottom of the body is about right here, so that's going to be perfect. The front had about 2.5 inches of travel. Just shorten my tape measure. The front's got about 3.5, or rear has about 3.5, which is perfect of up travel. And I measured before I put the rears in. The rears with the other springs was at 36.5 from the floor to the fender liner. Now you can't typically measure lifts like this because normally you do lift and tires, but since I'm using the same tires, I can do this. So we were at 36.5 before. We're right at 37. So I gained 1/2 inch of lift. Hopefully it'll fix my problem where I was bottoming out on my front shocks. Hopefully that extra 1/2 inch is just what I needed. But yeah, that's the dual rate TJ coils on the WJ all the way around. I'm gonna go give her a test drive, see how it rides. Anyways, thanks for watching this quick video. Hope this is helpful for y'all guys. I'll see you in the next one.